Watch that officer walk away. Right now. Next time you get pulled over, do not look at your phone. Do not check your mirror nervously. Do not sit there rehearsing your explanation. Watch that officer pick up your license, turn around, and walk back to that patrol car. Because what happens in the next 90 seconds inside that vehicle is something almost no driver has ever been told about. It is not a routine check. It is not a simple database lookup. It is the most information-dense 90 seconds of the entire stop. And by the time that officer opens their door to walk back to your window, they know things about you that you did not give them permission to know and would never have volunteered if anyone had simply asked. Most drivers sit in that 90-second window adjusting their mirrors, checking their hair, rehearsing what they are going to say when the officer returns. They have no idea the most important part of the stop already happened without them. This video is going to show you exactly what is happening inside that patrol car, exactly what that officer now knows about you, and exactly what you need to do and say the moment they return to your window. Because the driver who understands those 90 seconds walks away from a traffic stop in a completely different position than the driver who does not. Stay with me. This is the one most channels will never touch. Section 1. The database nobody told you about. The moment that officer slides your license into their mobile data terminal, and in most jurisdictions that happens before they have even fully settled into their seat, they are not simply verifying that your license is valid. They are opening a file on you that is far more comprehensive than most drivers ever imagine exists. Here is exactly what populates on that screen within seconds of your license being entered: your complete driving history, every violation, every point, every suspension, reinstatement, and lapse in coverage going back years. Not just the clean summary you might see on your own DMV record, the full unfiltered version that shows every interaction, every warning, and every documented encounter with law enforcement involving your vehicle or your license, your warrant status. Federal, state, and in many jurisdictions, local warrants appear immediately. This includes warrants you may not even know exist. Clerical errors generate warrants. Missed court dates for violations you believed were resolved generate warrants. Fines that were paid but not properly recorded generate warrants. The system does not know your side of the story. It only knows what was entered, your vehicle registration status, whether your plates match the vehicle, whether the registration is current, whether the vehicle has been reported stolen, involved in a previous incident, or flagged for any reason in the national database, your insurance status. In the 32 states that have implemented real-time digital insurance verification, the officer can see whether your coverage is currently active, whether it has lapsed recently, and whether there are any discrepancies between your policy information and the state database. Your contact history. In many jurisdictions, the system flags previous law enforcement contacts associated with your name, your license, or your vehicle. This includes stops where no ticket was issued, stops where you were a passenger, stops involving your vehicle driven by someone else. Every contact gets logged and every log gets retrieved. All of that in 90 seconds, before the officer has written a single word of the ticket, before they have asked you a single additional question, before they walk back to your window with a decision already forming about how the rest of the stop is going to go. Section 2. What the officer is deciding before they return. Here is the part that changes how you think about every traffic stop you will ever have. By the time that officer stands up from their patrol car and starts walking back toward your window, they have already made several preliminary decisions based entirely on what that screen told them. You did not contribute to those decisions. You could not. They happened while you were sitting 40 feet away adjusting your seatbelt. If your record is clean, the officer is walking back relaxed. The stop stays proportional to the original violation. The ticket gets written or the warning gets issued and the encounter ends cleanly. If your record shows previous violations, recent stops, or any flag in the system, the officer is walking back with a different mindset entirely. They are now looking for corroboration. They are looking for behavior, statements, or observations that justify taking the stop further than the original violation warranted. They already have a reason to be interested. Now they need a reason to act on it. If there is a warrant in the system, the decision may already be made before they reach your window. The question is no longer whether to extend the stop. It is how to manage what comes next. This is why the moment that officer returns to your window is not the casual continuation of a routine interaction most drivers treat it as. It is the second phase of an encounter that already has a direction, and you are about to walk into that second phase with no idea what the first phase produced. Section 3. The 90-second advantage most drivers miss. While that officer is sitting in their patrol car running your information, you have something extraordinarily valuable sitting in your hands. Time. 90 seconds of unobserved, unpressured time to do the one thing that most drivers never do before a traffic stop reaches its most legally significant moment. Prepare. Not rehearse an explanation. Not plan what you're going to say to seem cooperative. Prepare your rights. Remind yourself what you are and are not required to hand over verbally when that officer returns. Remind yourself that the license, the registration, and the insurance card have already done their job. Everything the law requires of you in this stop has already been provided. What comes next, the questions, the conversation, the casual requests, is entirely optional for you to engage with. Most drivers waste those 90 seconds in anxiety. The driver who knows what is happening inside that patrol car uses those 90 seconds as the most important preparation window of the entire encounter. Breathe. Settle. Remember the framework. Because the officer returning to your window already knows more about you than you realize and is about to find out whether you know your rights as well as they know their database. Section 4. What happens when they return to your window? The officer is back. They have your information. They have formed preliminary impressions, and almost immediately the questions begin. Do you know if there are any warrants out for you? Have you had your license suspended before? Is this your current address? Where are you coming from tonight? Do you have anything in the car I should know about? Every single one of these questions is a direct extension of what the database just told them. They are not asking blindly. They are cross-referencing. They already have answers to some of these questions from the system. What they are looking for is whether your verbal answers match what they already know, and whether the gaps between what you say and what the system shows are wide enough to justify taking the stop further. This is the most legally dangerous moment of the entire encounter, not because the questions are aggressive, because they are casual, because they sound like the natural continuation of a normal conversation, because every instinct you have is telling you that a cooperative, honest answer is the safest response. It is not. Here is exactly what to say when those questions begin. Write this down. Officer, I appreciate you returning my documents. I would prefer not to answer additional questions. Am I free to go or am I being detained? That sentence does 4 things simultaneously. It is polite, which means nothing hostile goes into the report. It is specific, which means you are declining questions, not compliance. It invokes your Fifth Amendment right without theatrics, and it forces the officer to declare the legal status of the stop at the exact moment when that declaration matters most. If the answer is you are free to go, you leave. Politely, immediately, and without another word. If the answer is you are being detained, you now have critical legal information. You comply physically, you stay completely calm, and you say this and nothing else. I would like to speak with an attorney before answering any further questions. From that moment forward, everything is handled by your attorney, not by you. Not at the window, not on the side of the road. In a setting where the law works for you rather than against you. Section: the one thing that changes everything before stop even starts. Everything we have covered in this video is reactive. What to know, what to say, how to respond. But there is one proactive step that changes the entire dynamic of a traffic stop before the lights ever flash in your mirror. Know what is in your record before an officer does. Every driver in this country has the legal right to request a copy of their own driving record from their state DMV. The process takes minutes online in most states and costs between $5 and $15. What it shows you is a version of exactly what that officer is going to see when your license goes into their system. Outstanding issues that you did not know existed. Warrants that were generated by clerical errors. Suspensions that were not properly lifted after reinstatement. insurance lapses that were recorded even after coverage was restored. Every one of these issues can be identified and addressed before they surface at a traffic stop at the worst possible moment. Drivers who know their record walk into every stop from a position of informed calm. They know what the screen is going to show. They know there are no surprises waiting 40 feet away in that patrol car. And that knowledge, that single piece of preparation, changes the psychological and legal dynamic of every encounter they will ever have with law enforcement behind the wheel. Pull your record this week, before the next stop, before the next set of lights in your mirror. It is the single most practical thing this video can send you away to do, and it costs less than a fast food lunch. Here is the truth that every second of this video has been building toward. That walk back to the patrol car is not a pause in the traffic stop. It is a traffic stop. It is the 90 seconds where the most consequential information gets gathered, the most important decisions get made, and the direction of everything that follows gets determined. Without your input, without your knowledge, without you having any idea it is happening, you cannot stop that process. But you can walk into what comes after it as prepared. You can know your record before the officer does. You can use those 90 seconds to settle rather than spiral. You can meet that returning officer with the calm, informed composure of someone who understands exactly what just happened inside that patrol car and exactly where they stand as a result. That composure is not arrogance. It is not hostility. It is the natural confidence of a driver who knows their rights, knows their record, and knows the exact words that keep a routine stop from becoming something it was never supposed to be. Most drivers will watch those 90 seconds pass in anxious silence and never know what they missed. You are not most drivers anymore. If this video gave you something real, something that is going to change how you sit in that car, the next time those lights appear, share it with every driver you know right now. Not tomorrow, right now. Because someone in your life is heading toward a traffic stop with no idea what happens during that walk, and this video is the only thing that changes that before it matters. Subscribe, because every single video on this channel is built around one unbreakable promise: making sure you are never the driver who did not know. Know your rights like your record depends on it, because the next time that officer walks away with your license, it absolutely does.